time has been really giving us a good result. And mainly that's what we're going to be talking about right now. My name is Farid. I'm a certified trainer. I'm a certified technician. I am the training and operations manager at Tekani, and I've been doing that for the past 17 years. So ROI, a big, huge word. For us really to discuss that point, we need to look into 4 things. What conventional training is about and its ROI, what the blended approach is about and its ROI. So let's start with the first point, conventional training. What do you guys think, or what would get to your mind when you hear the term conventional training?
Classroom training.
Okay. Classroom training, what else? Conventional training related to classroom. That's logical. What else?
Systematic approach of way of learning.
Systematic approach of?
Way of learning.
Okay, so learning. Systematic approach. What else? Classroom, systematic approach, learning. Some of us might have attended a certain training. What comes to your mind when you remember that event? Regardless whether it's good or bad. Conventional training. Weaknesses, strengths. But let's discuss it all together. We're talking about a classroom where there is a systematic approach of learning, right? That's what you've said. What do you think are the advantages of such learning and of such an approach? Classroom, systematic, learning. 3 words.
Evaluation after. Evaluation through exams.
Evaluation through exams, okay, that's one of the good points, strength points. What else? Would it be, or would we consider the face-to-face interaction between the trainer and the audience? We're all in the same class, right? Okay. Maybe also having our participants away from their daily tasks and put in a faraway location for them to really think of the training only and not think of their work or daily tasks. Would that be an advantage? I would consider it like that. Okay, well, what about their weaknesses? Conventional training. We're taking our staff, putting them in a classroom for a whole day, and lack of creativity. Okay, thank you, Mr. Sharif. Who else? Weaknesses. Yeah.
I guess less practical approach rather than theoretical.
Could be. Yeah. So theory more than practical. We're away, right? We're not on site. We're off site.
Away from on-the-job training.
Away from the training, yeah.
On-the-job.
Might be that the training is a bit philosophical or theory or so everything we do, and at least conventional training, might have some good points and might have some weak points. And honestly speaking, that's life. We never have a certain perfect approach. Yet, Dr. Ebbinghaus, he's a German psychologist, and he completed a study about what we currently call the forgetting curve. And he discovered that if a certain learning starts at that point here, day 0, you've got 100% learning retention. Yet, before the end of the first day, your participants would have forgotten around 50% of what they have learned. So why spend money? Why spend time? Right? At the end of the first week, only around, what's that? 5%? That's the perfect example of money and time lost. Another study from the National Training Laboratory in the United States, they have discovered, based on studies, that you only retain 5% of what has been lectured. And apologies, I'm lecturing now, right? 5% only. When you read something, you retain 10%. When you watch something, a movie, audiovisual, sight, hearing, you retain 20, and when I demonstrate something in front of you, tick, 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 shooting, anything, okay? You retain 30%. And this is what we call passive learning. Yet, there's another approach to that. There's what we call the active learning. And this is where that laboratory discovered that 50% group discussions. And this is the main difference between what a lecture is and what a group discussion is. What we are doing now is a group discussion. And hopefully we would retain 50% of what we have been discussing. Add to that 75% if you do things by your own, and 90% if you transfer that learning. Let's go back years to maybe our college time or our school time. And I know that some of us might have experienced the luck of transferring their knowledge. And believe me, if you have taught any one of your colleagues back at school or at college that much, back at that time, it would have been imprinted into your mind. You always grab that knowledge when you transfer it. I know I don't look much, right? Okay, so studies, numbers. We retain the highest ROI would be when we transfer what we have learned. And this honestly brings us to think of what has been discussed so far. Conventional training has its strengths and its weaknesses. Everything is like that. And the forgetting curve and the learning pyramid. Now, if you want to reach a certain point where we raise that retention on the time and money we've spent on training and upskilling, in your opinion, what would that be? If you want to raise that retention, how can we do it? It's not only conventional training, there's something else we can do. What? Let me help you out.
Practice.
Yeah, we should implement these, right? So, drop off conventional training and insert what we call the blended approach. And blended by me using several methodologies, several technologies, several innovations to transfer that knowledge, to move that learning from the conventional way that we've discussed so far to either one of these or a mix of these. And the blended approach honestly includes those. Let's discuss them one by one. Bit-sized approach. Instead of having a whole book A whole 2-day training, 4-day training, 7-day training. Wow. 7 days, 5 days. Why don't we reduce their size, expand the period of time that we will be delivering them, and this makes them into chunkable, absorbable learning steps. One can really memorize, one can really learn, one can really understand something that is small that much. If you add on it the second day, third day, or after a period of time, that's what we call micro-learning or the bit-sized approach. E-learning. Are we always in a mood to learn? Definitely not. May I know why you're laughing?
Finished part of my studies in the e-learning fund.
So we've got an expert. Come with me. What about e-learning? What can you help us with, Mr. Abdullah? E-learning. That's your mic.
What do you want to know? It's very hard to like participate and to like put your notion that I have to learn now. I have a deadline now, like you're at home. This is for sure.
Okay.
But it's good because the good part is you can plan your time yourself.
Nice. So we've got the disadvantages of being held, between parentheses, being held to learn, and having the time, our own time, to learn at our own pace, and that's e-learning. Thank you, Abdullah. Okay, so have I done anything here? No. Okay. Another thing would be virtual-led instructor training, or what we call it VCT, virtual training. So it's a smaller session, very close to what conventional training is about, but we're doing it now on an e-learning platform, or sorry, a virtual platform, like Zoom, like WebEx, like Teams. Also instructor-led, but virtual. Coaching and body system. These two go together. The main approach here is that those participants that have attended a certain session either might be held or led by an expert for them to be able to implement what they have learned, and that's coaching, or being accompanied by a fellow at the training, and these two participants would be pushing one another for them to implement what have been learned. So either you've got the trainer or the coach pushing your participants to implement something in various ways, or you've got your colleague, your partner, helping you implement. Simulation and practice. What about it? Imagine us going to do a certain surgery, and the doctor at the hospital is, or hasn't done any surgeries before that. He's learning with my body, right? How would you feel? Or a flight captain driving that plane from I don't know where into Dubai, and that's his first time he's driving that plane. That's comfortable, right? Definitely. We're either gonna be dead or dead. So this is where, honestly, simulations or practice before being onto the floor comes in. And that's one of the blended approaches. Add to that, the conventional training, we never moved that out. Gamification, role plays, case studies, and simulations either in artificial reality or in virtual reality. One popping point here is gamification. Games, learning, how do they combine? Anyone? How can we combine games, playing, and learning?
Reward-based system. The reward-based learning. So,
we're in the 21st century, right? We're not in the old ages anymore. And we can always create a certain game, a certain platform that has certain quizzes, that has certain competitions, and that would be giving prizes to those who accomplish those baby steps, or those games. So, trying to encourage our participants to implement something or to test their knowledge and awarding them at the end is also one of the approaches we might take. And definitely post-training reviews, and those are highly recommended to be in-house by the staff member that you decide to have within your own organization, and his job would be to follow up on what has been happening, check the numbers, if they fit, and so on and so forth. So never leave a training without measuring its ROI. Even if you end up with 5% improvement, at least you have the numbers to back it. That's the blended approach. Yet, is it really beneficial to use that approach with regards to our return on investment? And studies have shown that. I'm going to give you an example based on certain studies. Studies have shown that if we really start our learning and development journey before the event itself, I mean, why before the event? Why would I have participants joining me at a certain training if they wouldn't be benefiting from that training? And this is where your learning and development personnel should 3 times really point out the benefits of any training, whether that be conventional, self-led, you name it, the benefits of assessing and attending that training. So in short, what's in it for me as a participant? What would I benefit from attending that training? Why me? Answers should be provided. So that's before the training itself. And the blended journey comes and starts here. Remember Mr. or Dr. Ebbinghaus? Yeah? See, that's the curve. Nothing changed here. Yet, once we introduce what we were just talking about, the blended approach, you've got example. That's only an example. So you've got an interference on, say, for example, day 1 after the training or day 2 after the training with the readable material. This is why we try always to provide something for the participants to go with. Certain reference. They read it, hopefully. Thank you, Abdullah. Laughing again. I know you never did. Okay, so what would the influence of that be? I mean, we're trying to tilt that curve from reaching around 5% retention to 40% retention by only conducting the training itself and providing some backup material for the participants. What if we add a certain other step, gamification? And that's the participants going back and back and back to their knowledge to win something. Yeah, why not? Using the carrot method. Should it always be the stick? No. A bit more. One more. Body system or coaching. And you've got an 80, 90, maybe 100% return over your investment. And in my opinion, that's a money and time well spent. What do you think? So, at your businesses, if you were to implement anything, what would that be? And what difficulties might you face? Anyone willing to implement any blended approach learning? I got a hand. I'm lucky. Okay. Quick one. Why?
Improvement and better business.
But what questions do you have, ladies and gents, regarding what we have discussed so far?
Sharif.
How can we choose best approach for learning in order to improve the business? How can you know which approach is the better?
Very interesting question. What do you think, fellas? What would be the best approach for learning? I have an answer, but let's wait for it from you. Who has an idea? What would be the best approach?
Can't only use one. You have to mix and match between them, because if you use only one, you're going to miss the other people that learn from the other parts. So let's say if we have 10 people, 2 of them can learn from e-learning, 2 of them can learn from coaching, 2 of them can learn from body system. So I have to implement a mix and match between them to reach everyone in the group.
That's one way. Who's got another idea?
Trial and error.
You answered it, Sharif. See, there is no best approach here. It all depends on who your participants are, what their abilities are, how they learn, what your resources are as a trainer and development sector or department. So there are many factors here for us to be able to answer your question. Yet, there's what we call the best practices, and this depends on what you have just said, trial and error. So you might decide, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go without the brief, for example. I'm gonna go without the brief, leave it to the trainer, and maybe insert some material on day 3. Yet, for you to really know if you have reached your numbers or not, you need to compare those KPIs, key performance indicators, that you were monitoring before the training itself, whether that be blended or not, and after. And based on that, you might decide, yeah, that's a good idea. Can I ameliorate? Can I increase my retention? Yes, no, yes, what ways, what methods? Try them, implement them, measure your performance. If you've got a certain increase, if not, go back to the old way, go back to the same philosophy. And it all relates to what resources you have and who your attendees are and who your participants are. Thank you, Sharif. Very interesting question. Who else? Any other questions? Thank you. Really happy you were here. Please, if you have any questions, contact us. And thank you for being here.